Hello, welcome. This is Awakenings TV. My name is Tamara Pitelen. I'm now here today with Vanya Silverten. Thank you for being here, Vanya.
Thank you for having me, Tamara.
Vanya is a full-time theta healer, which is an energy healing system. She is able to tune into the intelligence of the universe and basically receive information on any subject going.
Yeah.
That you care to mention. Yeah. Ask her anything.
Except for the lottery numbers.
Yeah.
It doesn't work, I've tried.
Anyway, this is part of a series that Vanya and I wanted to do, basically where we discuss certain subjects that are of interest and a bit of a mystery to us. Vanya connects to the source of everything and then tries to provide some insights. So what we'd like to talk about now is the rise of global obesity. And the reason we wanted to talk about this is because it's a global phenomenon. Particularly in the Western world, we're all getting fatter. I think in America, 70% of the population is obese, and by I think 2020, the projections are that, don't quote me on this, that about 90%, if not all, everyone will be overweight or obese. It's just this, over the last 30 years, we have transformed physically into very fat people. And of course this is having all sorts of impacts on bringing lifestyle diseases, diabetes, autoimmune diseases, cardiac illness, all this kind of thing. But the reason I want to talk about it is because there are, in the mind, body, spirit community, overweight or being overweight or being obese is often seen as an individual's response to their own issues. Perhaps they were abused as a child, so they make sure they're overweight in order to protect themselves from intimacy, these kind of things. And that does seem to have some validity. But how does that very personal reaction to my own life and symptoms mix with this global phenomena we're seeing as far as obesity? So, and what do we do about it, really? So, no pressure at all. If you could just solve global obesity.
No problem. In a few 5 minutes.
So yes, what's creator's perspective on that?
Well, number one is that we've moved away from nature. Number one, that's it. Our bodies have evolved with nature for, I don't know, hundreds and thousands of years. We've always had a nature diet. We've always had a physical life. So the human body is designed to eat nature food and be physical. I mean, that's the basis of it. If we're going to get uncomplicated and let go of trauma and abuse and all that kind of stuff, that's the basis of it. So what's happening is that we're having a lot of denaturized foods, a lot of food that's being put through factories, a lot of food that hasn't been made by hands, a lot of food that's even been grown by machines. Yeah, picked by machines, put into supermarkets where there's a lot of fluorescent lights, foods that haven't been sun ripened, you know, and as you know, the sun brings in quite a lot of, it allows the fruit to develop, and so in that development you get more vitamins, more nutrients. The soil's been overused, overraped, so even all the amazing minerals that are supposed to be fed into the pears or the apples or the whatever, it just isn't there. So our food has actually denaturized. It's lost a lot of the vitamins and a lot of the minerals. Now, when there's not enough vitamins and minerals and nutrients in the foods, what happens to the body? It gets ill. It gets ill, yeah. It starts to not function because we need all those nutrients just to make certain even just basic cellular function. But the other thing is you get hungry. Right. And you start thinking, I'm not satisfied, I'm not complete, I need more, I'm not full, I need a second helping, I need to kind of, because the body's after minerals and nutrients, just on a very basic level. Yeah. So that has to get returned back, returned back to eating more nature food, more nutrients, more minerals. Even just, you might need to take supplements and stuff like that to kind of add along to it. That's the basis. If that's right, then everything else will start to shift and change because the human body is amazing. Yeah. The human body changes, it transforms if it's getting all the right environment and the things being put into it. So humanity, we, modern people, are underestimating how amazing the human body is and not honouring its basic functions. So if that was all put into place and what happens? The body's going to have more energy. What happens when there's more energy? There's going to be a need to do more physical exercise.
Right.
And that's right, you want to go out and dance because your body's got energy. It's like, well, let's go celebrate, let's go connect, let's go for a walk, let's become creative, let's read a book, let's do all these things because we're alive. And when you're alive, you start to become more physical.
Yeah.
Because that's just where we are. We're living in a physical world and we're needing to experience.
Yeah.
So those emotions, those drives to experience life become more there because your system, your body is moving into a more amazing space. So there's that's just on the very basic level of what's going on. But then we're living in a world where we've kind of watching television and eating crap food, and it's kind of becoming more of a world where we're getting more into our minds and mental stuff.
And out of our hearts and bodies.
And out of our hearts and bodies. So, computer, internet, how many hours do you spend on the internet a day?
I don't ask.
Yeah. How many hours do you spend watching the television? Do you know?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So everything's shifted. The way that the existence of life has gone more sedentary and more and moving away from the way that God created the human design in nature.
Yeah. But we're evolving that way. Hasn't creation had some hand in the fact that we're going down this very technological road?
Technology is always going to be there.
Yeah.
But technology has to start supporting the nature human design.
Right.
And so technology and what we choose to buy, it's all, of course, look, the whole technology age is really exciting on another level because there's information exchange and you're learning and you're growing and, there's options, there's choices, there's new ways of seeing things. It's helped human evolution, the fact that we don't have to be boxed into one way of thinking for a whole generation. Yeah. And then the next generation thinks this way. No, there's this exchange. There's like a whole melting pot of stuff happening, which is beautiful.
Yeah, it's been revolutionary. Certainly like the Middle East with social media and the arrival of Facebook and Twitter has been, without question, revolutionary. Yeah. And positive. It seems mostly positive. Yeah. And yet there's also this other negative aspect we've been talking about where we've become very attached to our phones and our iPads and our television. So how do we find what do we do? I've
seen people addicted to all of this stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen people actually, their bodies actually start to get energetically stimulated by the iPad or the computer, and they get like this kind of buzz out of it. Yeah. Which is a false excitement. Yeah. And then they stay on it for hours. Yeah. Yeah. And if you look at certain technology that's coming out, it's getting more and more, oh look, now we can put, we don't have to go out and experience jumping out of a plane. Why don't we just stick on a pair of Google glasses?
Think we're jumping out of a plane.
Do you know? Yeah. But then there's something quite extraordinary about jumping out of a plane because you face a lot of fears, you accomplish something, and there's an amazing experience and thing that happens there. So again, it's the choices that you make as an individual about how you're using technology.
Yeah. En masse, again, getting back to the fact that the world is, certainly the Western world is enlarging at an extraordinary rate, and I've read, I'm sure we're all aware of the latest theories that sugar is evil and and because of the way the Industrial Revolution has changed our diet with a lot more sugar in it, and also the low fat phase.
Yeah.
Has that contributed? Is that a part of it?
Because you're putting the body out of balance. So the body's used to getting little spikes of false sugar. This is all, and it's really anti-nutrient, by the way, sugar. Yeah. Because it actually starts making you use up your nutrients to metabolize it. So you're getting false spikes of sugar and then energy drops. And so the body's, instead of learning to start, how do I find the right words? Learning to use its own metabolism, its own energy for foods, because basically we should be starting to eat less and less foods because the body, the human body as it evolves, is starting to learn to use more cosmic energy as fuel. So you kind of you're stopping a deeper spiritual evolution that should be taking place. And that's why I think, or what I'm showing is that obesity is being prominent, is because there's a deeper spiritual evolution that should be taking place. And
it's not.
So
so basically we've got to put aside, not rely quite so heavily on our technological gadgets, and we need to get back to food that is as close to nature as possible.
And more nutrient rich.
And more, okay.
And be more physical. Just go, I mean, it's just, we overcomplicate things. You know, we modern life has overcomplicated things. Like you have to, you know, if you're overweight, then it means this, and that. Or if you're not eating, you know. So we're really delved into a deep, you know, with all this information, a deep place of psychology as well, which can overcomplicate things, and then it starts making excuses. Well, do you know what? I had to have an extra piece of cake because, you know, my husband was horrible to me, and that's my way of getting love.
Right.
Do you know? So I think we're allowing ourselves to get weaker through excuses of this psychology. That's what I'm being told, because I think the creative force is like, come on, there's more to do, there's more to experience, stop wasting time.
Right. Does Creator understand cravings? Because they can be very powerful.
Yeah, but cravings have a place. I had the best burger the other night, and you know what? I woke up, you know, the whole thing, the chips, the sauce, it was amazing. And I woke up the next day craving that burger again. You know, I just had it, but I craved it for breakfast. But there's a choice.
Right, okay.
Do I go and get another one? Or do I think, you know what, I'd rather wait for another week or two and then go to enjoy it before I go to the cinema again, because that's a nicer experience to have. So yes, cravings exist and cravings should be honoured, but then you've also got to be a little bit more discerning. So
there's got to be some individual responsibility taken here.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, this is the temple.
Yeah.
You have to honour the temple.
Yeah. Sometimes the temple though seems to demand things.
I know,
it's a compulsion.
I know. And you know, honour it. It's beautiful. It's beautiful to celebrate, you know, eating a whole bar of chocolate.
Yeah.
But make sure you enjoy every mouthful of that chocolate.
Yeah.
Don't eat it and then feel guilty and then be like, oh, well, I've already eaten half, I might as well eat the other half now. No. Enjoy every mouthful, enjoy every piece until you don't enjoy it anymore.
But also, as you're saying, honour your body enough to make sure it's getting all the foods that you know it's good for it.
Yeah, and then you won't be getting these odd cravings usually.
Right.
Because you're satisfied. And when you're satisfied, you don't have these cravings, your body then goes, right, let's move into living off light.
Yeah, okay.
So that's the kind of aim of the game.
Cool. I'm going to ask one more thing, so I know, because I see that, and that makes sense, but I also know that you've had probably thousands of clients who've come to you with excess weight and just come to you and said, I don't know what to do. I've dieted, I've done everything under the sun. Why am I holding on to this excess weight? I may have been one of them. And
so what happened to you? Because you don't have any excess weight in you.
I do.
Can you see now? It's perception. It's perception.
We won't talk about me at this moment in time. But also, okay, well let's talk about me, because I have had a lot of sessions with you, and we've dealt with a lot of my personal stuff and my childhood history that apparently my personal issues with weight was attached to.
Yeah.
So I'm not one of the people who goes out and plays video games all days and eats
you're
burgers
very
and
healthy, you're doing yoga, you're juicing.
But I still have the issue. So it's this individual thing versus this global phenomena thing. So do people still have to recognise that they might have some other issues to deal with, as well as just sorting out what...
Yeah, okay. So first of all, from the universe, we are supposed to have a bit of weight on us.
Okay.
We are supposed to be, you know, it's part of our design. We're supposed to have a little bit of fat on us. That's how it is. That's normal. Okay, so we have to understand what's normal for weight, what isn't.
Yeah.
First of all. Second of all, what happens is if there are lower emotions caught inside the body, so that is, if the person is operating out of joy, the person doesn't feel amazing all the time, if the person doesn't feel loving, if the person doesn't feel like they're connecting to the universal energy source supply to use that energy as fuel for their body, then there's other things, other lower emotions which making the system sluggish. Now, when the body holds on to lower emotions like depression, jealousy, hurt, pain, loneliness, anger, it's going to slow down the cells because those emotions are vibrating at a lower frequency.
Right.
So everything slows down. And what we want to do is we want to get the metabolism increased. So it's all about going to the higher energy, the higher emotions.
Yeah.
So when you have those low emotions, what tends to get caught in them is memories or experiences of perhaps not being loved as a child, or feeling like you're alone, and in that loneliness the only comfort you have is food. So of course those low energies are going to be attributed to memories and experiences and things like that. But that's so beautiful because that's part of the human journey. What do I want to move out of and what do I want to move into?
Right.
And part of that spiritual journey is self-reflecting on all those lower things that have ever happened to you. Why? So that you don't do them to other people.
Okay.
So that you don't continue the pattern. So part of that self-reflecting, I've got this, these issues inside of me and I need to heal them, is part of the spiritual design of how we are as spiritual beings. They have to be looked at, they have to be addressed, they have to be resolved, they have to be transformed in order to evolve you to the next place, mentally, physically, and all those kind of things.
And perhaps, so in that case, excess weight is an indicator that there's something there to look at, that you need to look at before you can grow spiritually.
I mean that's a big set, because I know people that are, they're a little bit tubby and they're happy.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
it might be an indicator.
Yeah,
or
it might be.
Not be.
Yeah, and we do need some fat on us, and you know what? Some of us find more pleasure and joy from eating, and that's okay as long as you live a very balanced life. We can't keep typecasting us into this is right and that's wrong, and if you're overweight then you're not spiritual, and because you're putting too many rules and laws and trappings and holdings and imprisonment. Yeah. And we live in an infinite universe. Yeah. So everything needs to exist in its truth. So if you are someone who enjoys cooking and eating, and this is part of your celebration of life, and you are a little bit more overweight, but you're living in love and you're living in joy and you're being good and kind to people, then what's wrong with that?
Okay. So again, maybe it comes back to this thing we were talking about on another occasion, this idea that everyone's got to be a certain size, shape, colour, whatever. Okay. Yeah.
And there's a lot of, just genetically there's a lot of prejudices ingrained in us. We're taught to be racist, we're taught to be sexist. It's just everywhere. If you have a look, if you grab a magazine and you have a look at how often it tells you that you have to separate and segregate and things go into you'd be quite surprised how influenced we are.
Yes, it's a topic for another day about why we've created this system that causes us to be so separated, and it perpetuates that separation. Yeah. That's for another day.
Because we are moving into oneness, so yes.
Yes. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Very much, Vanya. That's it for today. We'll be back later. Thank you for watching.